Hello, guys. So here is Harpreet Garewal, your host again, back with new week and new podcast. So as we know that we come up with every new topic or something new which is going on, and we people want to hear us. So for that, we are here with you guys again to talk about one new topic, which is students in abroad. So why people so like Indian students, something like that, they are moving out from their native countries to the different countries in I say US, England, or whatever countries. So to talk about that, we have our guest here today, Simarpal Khera. So welcome Simarpal to the studio.
Thank you, Harpreet. Happy, glad to be here today.
So yeah, so we actually, as I said, we have a topic today which says why Indian students study in abroad. So they have some options, they have some vision which they are going through, like what is happening in today's journey, or like what they think whether what is a better option to go on these countries for to make their career or whatever they have. So we see like nowadays, or if you talk about like say last 10 years, or if we take a big example from last 10 years, people are students are keep moving from the India or or any other Asian country, or any country we say, they go to the other countries which they think they have more scope to go over, and they think they can have a better career option there. So we are going to pick those topics, that why is this happening, what they think, what is there, and how they think that they can make their life better, because everybody thinks they want to, everybody is dream to make their life better. That's what everybody thinks of, and for that, for sure, we need to study better, and then get, after the studies, we want to get some better options where we can enhance our skills and grow for sure. And for the same thing, we have Simarpal Khera, who has went through all those things, who has seen all those things. So yep, so we called him to talk about how he think that what he went through all those things, how he decided. Yep, Simanpal.
Sure. Thank you, Harpreet. Just to briefly talk about my journey. I grew up in India mostly, right, during my childhood days. So my father was in the army. So every other 2 years, he used to get posted, and
Yep,
I had to change school. So yeah, most of the time I was in North India studying at different army schools and all that. And
yeah,
after I finished my 12th class, I started looking for like, hey, what is the next career path I
yep,
want to take? And most of the time, you will find in India, we think about either we go into engineering direction or into the medical side, right?
yep,
And I think my inclination was more towards engineering only, and that
mhm,
led me to actually try for our IIT entrance exams, and
yeah,
uh, so I got admission into IIT Roorkee. So I did my computer science there, 4 years undergrad there, and I was lucky to get a job after that in Bangalore with a software company. And worked as an engineer there. Started in 2008 until 2014. I was working there. In
that
different
was it.
companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Got a lot of different exposure, different. I would say multinational companies. So they were US based company, of course, and but they had their offices inDia.
yep.
And
They are doing outsourcing, like they have the vendors on the Indian, and they, yep, they get the work for them. Got it.
yeah, so yeah, I mean back then actually, a lot of companies were actually also giving opportunities to Indian, I would say, software engineers to build new products also. So I would say it started to grow at that time, that they started giving more ownership. uh, and but what was happening was, I actually wanted to not just build, like, write code or build products, but I also wanted to kind of take up more ownership and become like a driver for a product. And that's what led me to actually go for an MBA. So
Wow.
in
Okay.
2014, having spoken with different people, I decided that maybe I should go and get an MBA.
Yep.
So maybe on this slide, I just wanted to briefly speak about my experience here, how it was. So one difference, having studied in India and then coming here, was that you will find professors here, and the teaching style is very practical. I mean, they will try to take examples from real life.
That's real
They
life examples which make
Yeah.
kids, like students, to understand better level, better place. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and so they will have like they will also bring companies representatives. So people who are working in the companies, they will come to your class. They will talk about their experience. They will give you examples how did they decide about certain things, and it gives you a good perspective, which I felt like I got more exposure coming into US.
The US. Yeah. So
Yeah.
because I know, because as we talk about, you said IIT Roorkee, there's a big name if you talk about in India, and then if you like, you get the option there, you work there for 6 years, as you said, but still, then you still we feel like okay, because India is known, if I'm not wrong, I guess India is known for better studies. They have the better colleges, I can say, but I don't know whether the in built and underneath they have the same kind of study level or all those things. But as you said, because in this country or any country, if you kids, if the students are moving out from India or any country, they find better opportunity. The students get an interaction with the teachers or the professor, whatever they are, and they teaches, as you said, in the very demonstrative manner, which they get into their brains. Okay, fine. That make it easier to understand instead of going over the books and keep on wrapping up the chapters like, okay, fine, we did this and that and all those things. But yeah, that's a good example as well.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
came here in US and you did the MBA, as you said, is it?
Yes, yes, that's right. 2-year program, so it was 2-year total. And so I actually was lucky to get an opportunity to study from the top MBA program. But my criteria was actually, I wanted to get into some of the top tier universities.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity to study at Cornell. It was in
Nice.
upstate New York. The other criteria I had was like I wanted to stay in the tech field only. So
Okay.
I wanted a university or a college which has more recruitment happening from tech oriented companies,
Yep.
and so that was one of the reason. The other thing is like in US especially, you will find it's all about connecting with people, networking and all that. So you need to actually have a good alumni network, so that because here you just don't get all the jobs on campus. You have to
Exactly.
go and try out, meet people, make connections and all that. So that is also very important.
Yep.
um, and the other thing is like I wanted to also tailor my course as per my requirement. So for example, if I'm interested in learning about specific financial subject, then electives will help me to study that. Although I want to get into technical, but I do want to understand how does corporate finance work, so I could take up electives. So maybe you should think about that as well. And the last point I mentioned is it's always good to maybe in a university which is closer to a big city, because big cities have big companies, more job opportunities,
Exactly. The
right?
option
So
increases.
right. So
Because yeah, if you go to some cities like that, which I know they might have the good colleges and all those things, but when you go to them, and then when you kind of end up those things, then you have to move out from there, and when you go to some new area or city, you have to again start up from the base. You have to make a base there to know the people, as you said. You have to
mm,
communicate with the peoples, and if you have the alumni, that is of course very nice to be those kind of peoples in different studies, sorry, cities which you go to. But if you are in the same city, you studied there, and the alumni are there, and you have known people on those things, that really help. Plus the companies, as we talk about the Bay Area, of course, it is the place where you get everything what you want if you are skilled. Of course,
yeah.
there's matters a lot on those kind of things. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, so we have like we as we heard Simrapal, like fine, this is what he went through. So we know why the students move. So they have something good option. Of course, when someone leaves their own native place or country or area, they just move on and they move out of those things only if they have some better options. So what are those kind of things? We can talk about those things that study in world class universities. That's what as we heard from Simrapal as well, that we have world class universities abroad. I'm not talking about just US, all like say US, Canada, or like UK. We can talk about many students move on to these countries for their better universities because they have better programs, better streams, and all those things. So, is it hard, Simrapal, or not? Like, where to pick which country or colleges you want to be on those kind of things? What do you say on that?
Yeah, I mean, my point of view on this is, see, we are from India are most of the time very well versed in speaking in English, right?
Yep.
So so many times you will find it's easier to go and kind of set up in a place where you can actually talk easily, right? So you might
Exactly.
prefer places like Canada, US, England, Australia, where English is the language, right?
Exactly.
um, in other European countries, they are also becoming more, open in speaking in a common language, but it's
Common.
still little difficult, I would say. So depending on how comfortable you are in speaking different languages, you might also would like to think about where you want to go. Yeah,
Because that's also a kind of like I can say a next hurdle as well. Because if you are already moving out, you want to crack your courses and school studies, whatever you want to your higher studies, and top of that you have to learn the different languages. And that is kind of which is my next point is, I guess. So yeah, we got an option to learn a new language as well. So when you move out to those countries, as you said, English, we know we are from the childhood time, we like most of the kids, I will say most of the kids, they know and they work on like English languages. They are preferred to use these languages, and then it's good to communicate for any country people. Like they have like national language for any, and sorry, common language to talk about. And then we move to the countries, that's the first option to comes in the mind. Okay, fine, where should I go to, where I will be kind of in like my comfort zone, where I can at least talk easily, where I can express my feelings, and then able to understand those peoples as well. So that's why I guess yeah, as I said, UK, US, and Canada is like, I will say, in the top list for nowadays, like where kids or students find the more options to move on.
yeah. But Harpreet, I just would like to say one thing is, because of that there is a lot of competition also, right? There are more people who want to go there. So sometimes you have to look at it like, where can I get a better opportunity? So it might be okay to go into a European school because you might be able to get to a better program compared to maybe US or Canada. So you have to think about what is good for you. Yeah.
Yes, that's very true. Because of course, it's not like only you are the one who's moving. At that
Right,
time of
right.
point of time, you have to think of a big picture that I am going to land on those places
Yeah.
and how big competition is going to be. So if you take example for like say US, if there is some college or university where kids are studying already, where students are already studying there, and on top of that they have the foreign students going to be on there, the competition going to be increased. Of course, we know somewhere that we have to be in better place to come up from those students which are native or which are local to those places. They
Hmm.
have like upper hand for these kind of things, and we have to nail those things down to get our upper hand. Okay, fine, we want to do this and we want to achieve that, and to achieve that we have to show something extra which will take you out of the picture. Okay, fine, you are doing something extra on that part.
Yep.
And then of course, as you already mentioned, I guess, that we have in the countries or foreign countries wherever we study, that we get the practical knowledge, that they show us not just the theories, the practical, as you said, the live examples as well. So is it like always they have this examples, like examples, or they talk about like whatever the in the studies or the books or theory, I can say, they show you all those things? Is it all the time is there, or like is particular streams they pick some things? Okay, fine, let's talk about this or not. How the things
Yeah.
work in real life?
Yeah, I mean, so in my program, what we call them is like case studies. So
Okay.
what they do is they pick up a famous example. So for introducing a topic, right? For
Okay.
example, if we are studying a topic in financial industry, right? So we know that when recession happened in 2008, there was a big, like, banks, how did they go about, that bailout, all that happened. So they might actually pick example from a real life, right? Again, there was an issue back in 2000 when there was a big scandal. So they will pick up stories so that it you
Okay.
can connect with them. Otherwise, if
Which
you're just
relate to and then make it easier to
right,
understand, kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Okay.
things become more boring, right? It's like just
Exactly.
just reading.
To make you
Yeah.
stick to those things and make it easy to understand all those things, that's for sure is very much needed, kind of thing. Yep. And then comes become expert in your knowledge. So you know that, as you said, you go through the books, you do the studies, and then on top of that you have practical knowledge of that, that this is what is the book is saying, or anything is saying, any subject or anything is saying, and then it is related to that. It's easier to make you understand, and then you can enhance your skills, and then you can go up on those kind of things. And then It is not, as you said, just management. There are all different kind of courses which are coming into the picture. The peoples are like keep on changing the courses. It's not like if I'm interested in so and so courses, the second kid is also interested. They have every stream and everything in these countries to explore. Whatever your experts is, like whatever your interest is, they can pull you up on those things and they can let you explore that part.
Yeah.
Okay. And work in recognized company for sure. Of course, when you study with those streams and you get the knowledge, you get the grades, and then of course bright students never lay behind. They will be picked up, like they will cherry pick like the students whoever is working fine.
Yeah.
So is it like the college recruiting, or how these things happens in, yeah, I will say, if US, if you talk about.
Yeah. Uh, so I can talk from my experience. See, there will be few companies that will definitely come to your on
The
campus.
campus.
Like, I know in the US, Amazon is a big company, and they will come in, big numbers to hire a lot of people because they have a
Yeah,
need. But I would say not everybody still get a job just on campus.
exactly.
So that's where I was saying it's good to have a good alumni network, and then you have to reach out to that connections. Hey, try to introduce yourself. What have you done in the past? Your experience, or maybe what have you studied, and show that how you can add value to
Exactly.
their work, to their company. And then sometimes it's the interest that you show. People like that, and then they say, okay, okay, let me get you for an interview. Let's see
Exactly.
how it goes. Yeah.
That's a big milestone, I guess, because if you keep exploring on say LinkedIn or something like that to go to the recruiters, they might get or they might not get the options to put you up on this platform, which is called as like first stage for the interview. But if you have that, first of all, if you have the campus interviews, get into the campus, you will get picked up from there. And if not, if you reach out those peoples, it's not like any company is not hiring. Everywhere we know they are hiring, is keep on going in and out there.
Mhm.
Every company needs the peoples, but it for them sometimes the big companies, it's a hurdle to go out in the market and search for the people and then keep on taking the interviews. And then after that they are still, sometimes they get harassed. They are like, they get disappointed when they don't get the correct opportunity or correct candidate for that. But if you get something, a referral from alumni or whatever, whoever knows you, and they can vouch for you, okay, fine, this person I know, and they have those experience, they have studied on the several stream, and they can put the value in our company. So that is makes easier for that. And then we know that, like if you talk about the Bay Area again, we this is the place, we call it as Silicon Valley because we have all the big giants sitting on this place. If you be here and you know let's say I stood up here tomorrow and then I will say, okay, fine, I want to join Google, I want to join Apple. I cannot just directly knock the door and I can say, okay, fine, I have this experience, just take me in. That doesn't work all the time. It If you have the referrals or if you have the knowns, something like that, and they know the people are hiring, then you can join those companies as well. It makes the way easier for them as well.
Yes.
Okay, so then we collected some data from different parts of countries that peoples are moving, the students are moving. So I don't want to go like all over these, like it's a big data for that. So it's not only the US as we talked about, it is a different part of the countries where peoples are moving to the higher studies and all those things. And then for the if we go to specifically about India, so this shows the number of Indian students studying outside India rapidly increased by 163% between 1999 and 2006 to reach 1,45,539 as compared to now, which is 25% between 2006 and 2013 to reach the amount of 1,81,000. So, as of January 2021, more than 1 million students are studying in 85 countries outside India. So, like, this is a huge number. If you say 85 countries, the peoples are moving out from India to the outside countries, which is a big number. So, yeah, it's more than 50% of Indian students study in North America, which is like news for us. Okay, find that people's mostly 50% are coming into the North America, and then rest we can say 50% are divided into 84 or 85 countries, which we have. So, do you, okay, I want to hear about this one as well from you. So, how you pick, again, I guess you answered that one as well, that how you pick the country. That is one thing you already talked about, the language, which should not be a barrier if you want to move out from India. What other things which you think of before moving from India to any other country and pick the colleges?
Yeah. Uh, the other things like are important, like what kind of jobs are you looking for, right?
Yeah,
For example, as I said, my experience was in the tech industry, and I wanted to actually continue in a different role, but in the tech industry only. And if
yeah,
you think about it, the way I was thinking about where is the center of tech in the world, right? It is in United States.
it
I
is
mean,
in US. Yep,
in we said Bay Area, Silicon
for
Valley,
sure.
right?
Yes,
So that was one important factor. Like, I mean, I was thinking like if I go to US, then I will find some way to get to the Bay Area, right?
exactly.
So so that was another reason. One more reason you have to think about is funding, right? How will you
Yep,
fund your
the
studies as
studies,
well?
of course.
So so you have to look at like, hey, which countries I might be able to get either some scholarship or some kind of full support from the university, or from
Yep.
somewhere else. So
Anything
those
kind
things
of
are also important.
finance help, financial help, whatever you can get it from, which can help.
Yeah, right, right.
I guess we had that in the coming slide as well. So yeah, so if you talk about this, we can number of international students in USA. If you talk about specifically USA between 2014, 15, and then till now years. So it was keep increasing since 2014. So if you see the data here, it's 9,74,000 and then keep increasing. And then if you see the last at the end 2021, it is decreased by like a bit percent, and we know, or we all know the reason, that because of COVID or whatever it is. So we have every country, it's not only US, every country has stopped the students coming to the US and all those things. Because of that, the number fall down. But other than that, the students are keep on moving out of India to get their better career and all those things. And then if we talk about region wise share of student in the USA, so do you want to talk about this, Simon?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, most of the time you will find it's the Asian students who are there, in all of these different universities
In
around the
countries,
world,
yeah.
right? So you see around 70% are Asian people,
Yep.
and then there is European and other parts of the world. But this has been the case. See, I was studying where I was studying. I usually found people coming from China, from India, maybe few from maybe some other
Japan or
Southeast
Korea,
Asian
something like that.
countries,
Yeah, kind of thing.
right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
most of them are from there.
So I think this is pretty much the what you see today in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of like, so if you summarize like a very most of the Asian countries, the students from those countries are moving to USA like for the higher studies. They have something, they have seen better vision or better opportunity in the future, so that they can move in and they can grow on those things.
Right.
So then, as you talk about before, just we just talked about as the funding. It's not like any student from any countries they can say, "Oh, fine, I want to study in some other abroad country or some other country," and they can just get
Hmm.
up and then come up to there. So that's the major thing, as you said, is a funding is needed. Because if talk about India only, so the currency might it increase it puts like as a huge number in amount of dollars or rupees I can talk about, that is much needed. If you're coming from India and you have to spend or you have to pay in US, it makes a huge difference. So then funding is the most matter. And then we have the graph showing here that how where the funding is coming from. So we have to think of that whenever any student come want to join or come to any other countries, they have to have the most of the funding is coming from personal and family thing. They have own personal funding or the family supports them. There is a less than that. Other than that, we have a US college or university which sponsor them and they give the student funding. Okay, fine. But this is not as much as if you talk about the personal funding. So then and rest of the all those things come like a foreign government or current employer or others, because current employer is also one of the thing. If we have seen a lot in US, being in US, that companies send their employees to the US for their their own companies, and then they come into this, and then for the studies and all those things. So the companies sponsor them. So, but main thing is funding is the first question when we want to talk about. Okay, fine. We want to move to some other country for the higher studies, so funding is the main thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And then top countries. We have top countries in international student in US. So as you already said, I guess, Manpal, you can summarize it again if you want to. That which countries we have in most.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you'll find people from China, India, and showing Korea also.
Yep.
Those are mostly represented here, and rest of the other are pretty flat. You can see it's been consistent,
Yep.
and it's pretty much the case. Yeah.
So yeah, we just talked about this as well. Okay, fine. This is like other countries are kids are more other than this Asian.
Hmm.
And then we have different streams. We talked about the percentage of students on the field of study. They have different kind of fields or streams. As you said, you have preference in engineering, so that is the kind of second highest. I can say the students are moving from India to the other countries for the stream, and then comes maths and computer and business management and so on. But the most of the students are moving to the other countries to study for engineering, maths, computer science, and the business management, I will say. And we have example in front of us, Simapal sitting here for the management course, which is one of those. And engineering, he did background, and then he's here for those. And then level of study among. Do you want to talk about this? Like, what kind of students want to migrate or come to the US?
Yeah. So, I mean, most of the time, what this graph is showing is the undergraduate student has remained pretty consistent. So, people who are coming for maybe, their initial studies, bachelor studies,
Yep.
most of the time, you will not find Indian student coming for bachelor studies because they will do it in India. Only people who have a lot of funding, maybe from richer families, they might come for
Exactly.
their bachelor. But most of the time you'll find people will be coming for masters like MS or those kind of things, or MBA programs. So you can see, but there is some kind of a drop in the recent years. That could be, again, one factor could be COVID, and the other
Yeah.
thing is you are seeing that OPT is also increasing here. OPT, you get
Exactly.
it for 3 years with STEM oriented courses like science, technology, mathematics, and engineering. So if you are in that field, you will have more 3 years of OPT compared to business management, which is 1 year. So that is showing an increase because people are trying to move more towards engineering oriented courses.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Simarpal, for this. Yep. So that's, I guess, wrap up our show today for today's topic. So talking about all those things, why students want to move into US country, and then we got to know that what are the things which they think of, how they get into the conclusion where they want to end up, and what are the things they have in the mind, and what are the things they need to be there. So to conclude our today's topic, what do you think in the last, Simarpal?
Yeah, I would say education is an investment. I mean, this is something you have to you know think about seriously, and also you initially you might feel like some people might think, why am I doing this or why not, but over time you'll find its value. So you should always think about it as an investment, and I would say, but at the same time think about the risks also. Like, for example, what happened this time, COVID, right? So
Yeah.
suddenly all the students had to run back to their countries as well. So you never know, something could happen. So you should
Yeah.
always have enough funding, I would say. Something that you feel comfortable with, that I have my enough backing from my family or something I can depend on. So I would say, you have to weigh what are the advantages, what are the risks, and then make a right decision. Yeah, that's all I would like to say.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for your time, Simapal. And then that wraps up our show for today. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harpreet. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
ਉਹ ਸੰਤਿਆ ਆ GST ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਪਿਆ।
ਉਹ ਬੰਤਿਆ ਜੇ ਗੱਡੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਆ ਤਾਂ GST ਤਾਂ ਦੇਣੀ ਪਊ।
ਕਾਸ਼ ਕੋਈ ਐਸੀ ਡੀਲ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ GST ਤੋਂ ਖਹਿੜਾ ਛੁੱਟ ਜੇ।
ਫੇਰ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਹਫਤੇ ਸੁੱਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਆ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਰਿਲੈਕਸ,
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸੁੱਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਪੇ ਕਰਨਗੇ GST ਟੈਕਸ ਅਤੇ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਰਿਟਰਨ ਟਿਕਟ ਜਿੱਤਣ ਦਾ। ਭਰੋ ਪਰਚੀ ਅਤੇ ਮਈ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਸ਼ਨੀਵਾਰ ਜਿੱਤੋ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਵਾਪਸੀ ਦੀ ਟਿਕਟ। ਪਿਛਲੇ 42 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਵੇਚਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਡੀਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ sukhibatmotors.com।
ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਵੀਰੇ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਉਦਾਸ ਕਿਉਂ ਹੈ? ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਹੈ। Nothing can stop us from celebrating our father's Gurpurab। ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ? ਦਰਬਾਰੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ will be online this year, coming straight to your home। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਆਇਓ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ।
25 ਦਸੰਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਦਿਹਾੜਾ ਮਨਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਜੁਆਇਨ at www.youtube.com/IIGScalling।
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਬੁਲੇਟਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਗਿੱਲ। ਇੱਕ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਖਾਸ ਸੁਰਖੀਆਂ ਤੇ। ਸਾਬਕਾ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਬਿਕਰਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਜੀਠੀਆ ਖਿਲਾਫ FIR ਦਰਜ। ਮੁਹਾਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਊਰੋ ਆਫ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਟੇਟ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਥਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਕੇਸ।